I thought it'd be really good for you and I to have a quick chat and record it for the purpose of discussing Lilomi and just telling people those who may not be aware who Lilomi are, what you do at Lilomi, and how things are going. Because
Okay.
obviously, I've got a big rowing challenge next week, and my big purpose and reason for doing it is to really help support and raise awareness for Lilomi. So I just thought it'd be quite good to get some um, responses from you on sort of the questions that I've had about Lilomi, and perhaps other people might do too. So,
Yeah, sure.
Bethany, my baby sister, please introduce yourself. Tell us sort of who you are and a little bit about how you've got to get to Lilomi and how you've got to where you are at Lilomi. And of course, um, we'll go from there.
Okay. So I'm Bethany. I moved to Sierra Leone in 2016, but previously to that, we had lived there. But as some people will know, in 2014, there was an outbreak of Ebola in West Africa, which had a huge effect in Sierra Leone. And Winston at that time started working for the Sierra Leonean government, but funded by UNICEF. And he was working in the Ebola camps and looking at WASH facilities. WASH is water and sanitation, and he was doing that. And then in 2015, he was offered a job in the city where we lived, which is Bow, to become the national director of a school and orphanage there, which was called JCC, which is short for Jonathan's Childcare, which had been, the organization had been around for years and years and years, for 20 years now. And it was a bit of a mess. So Winston went in and he saw this orphanage there were loads of kids there at that time. I can't remember exactly how many, between 50 and 90 kids living on campus. And they had a small school, which I think probably, I could be corrected, about 100 students in at the time. And it was a primary school. And Winston saw this huge potential to really focus on education and supporting these kids to give them, an actual shot at a good future, even though, they didn't have families, or they didn't have families that supported them. So he went on a mission really to just like transform the school and transform the orphanage. And so that we've been doing that over the process since 2016. And sorry, he's been doing it since 2015, but I moved back there with the kids in 2016. And we decided that the money coming from the state, which was amazing, we've got amazing supporters over there, the money coming into JCC was only really covering the running costs of the organization in Sierra Leone. So we decided if we want to make real improvements, like there's lots of capital stuff that needs to be doing, we decided that as there were lots of people here in the UK that were like, how can we support you? What can we do to help? That we would set up a small organization here, but just to fund capital projects because they're easy to monitor, and they have a huge impact. So we set up Lilomi in 2018. Well, we'd started a long time before that.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry. I'm trying to edit
At
it
least you're
out.
not
Okay.
yawning.
Yeah.
um,
Not anyway.
uh, yeah, and so then we set up Lilomi with the support of the local community here in Petersham, where mum and dad live. And we started to fundraise. And the first thing we did was to do the toilet project. So we can talk a bit more about that after if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. So tell me a little about, so what have, I think that's going to be one of my questions there. So what have, since
Yeah.
Lilomi's creation, what has it done?
Mm,
And describe me very briefly, what is a capital project as well? How does that differ to any other
okay.
project?
So capital projects are projects that where you're building something, basically. It's infrastructure.
Yeah.
So we don't fund we fund sort of capital projects, and capital projects. Oh my goodness! Right, we're gonna have to scrap that.
So
Okay, so I'll
just,
go
yeah, I'll
from.
edit it out. So tell me, what is it? What is a capital project? How does that fit within the
So a capital project is basically like buildings, really, buildings and infrastructure. So there's
yeah.
solid things on the ground that, when you're taking donations, the people that are giving the donations can see on the ground, okay, this is what we've spent our money on, and they can see the outcome. That's one of the benefits of a capital project. But
Right.
they also, they're needed. They're not, as fashionable as sort of sponsorships and things like that, but they're needed and they benefit a huge number of people. And once
What
you
are the
build,
capital projects you've done so far then? Sorry, I
okay,
interrupted you beforehand. You explained about the toilets. Yeah,
so the first one we did was, there was a huge need for the kids to have clean toilets and to
yeah.
have hand washing facilities. So that was for the school, but also for the kids that live on campus. So we decided that we looked at the old toilets, which were horrific. I mean, if you look at our website, you can see how they were. So we built new toilets. So we built a separate girls and boys toilets, which they hadn't had before.
Mhm.
And we made them flushing toilets as opposed to latrines that they were before. And we put in a huge water tank, a 10,000 litre water tank with a solar pump, so that they always had like clean water to wash their hands, which has had a huge impact on the school and the kids that live on campus too. Yeah, that was
Wow.
the first thing we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what have you done subsequent to that? After that, what's followed up?
So the next thing we did was, just as a bit of a backstory to this, during Ebola, the people that died were people that handled dead bodies and people, medical professionals that were treating those that were sick. And Sierra Leone, the small number of doctors that they had, loads of them were killed, and it's had a really detrimental effect on the medical provision in Sierra Leone. So we decided, like, what is something that you can do to really build the future? Bringing doctors in from somewhere else is not something a country wants. You want to be able to sustain yourself. So we thought, okay, let's start to get kids excited about science and sort of STEM subjects. And one of the failings, I think, of the Sierra Leonean education system before now has been that it's mostly rote learning. So you learn by sitting down, looking at a textbook, or copying down from the blackboard. So we decided to build a science lab. And again, with huge support from our, donors and supporters from, not just the UK, Switzerland, Australia, we decided we were going to build a science lab. So we built a great science lab. And at the time, it meant that Sierra Leone, JCC was the only school in the southern province of Sierra Leone that had a functioning science lab. So we wanted the younger kids to get really excited by science and do experiments and, just get really hands-on. So we completed that in 2022, and that's had an amazing impact on the school. It's made the school a very attractive prospect for lots of parents and students around our area. And it's increased the number of kids that want to take sciences, kids that are aspiring to be engineers and doctors. They're actually interested, rather than just seeing it as like the boring subject that they don't want to do. So yeah.
And the
That was the
children who go to the school at JCC, where do they tend to go to afterwards? So are they going on to universities, or how does it work in
So
Sierra
that's the
Leone?
aim, is you want them to complete their schooling, and the A-level equivalent in Sierra Leone is called the WAS. And they'll take their WAS, and you want them to get enough credits to get into university. So that's the aim, is that they go to, university in Bo. We have a university called Jala, and there's one in Freetown as well.
Superb.
So yeah.
And do you have links with those universities to sort of allow the introductions and allow the sort
I
of
mean, they do. The school does have relationship with the
yeah.
university, so that they will, during admissions and stuff, they can support the kids in getting into university and things like that. Yeah. But one thing that, we do want to do is, bring university lecturers in, get the kids, get them talking to the kids about their options and, what subjects they need to go on to do these degrees at university. So yeah. Something that we are looking to develop further.
Fantastic. Yeah. And so from from the perspective of what I'm doing next week for the row, the money that they're raising in awareness around, obviously for Lilomi, and we obviously know this is going to go towards is it the science labs?
So what we're doing next is we built the science lab with the capacity or the potential to build on top of it, because
That's right. Yes.
so JTC has like its footprint on the ground. So the
Yeah.
campus is only a certain size. So we can't just be planting buildings everywhere, because it's
Yeah.
also really important the kids have space to run around, they have green space, trees, all that stuff, you know, to make a really nice environment. So rather than just like planting lots and lots of buildings, we wanted to be able to build some classrooms on top of it. So your row will contribute towards building 4 classrooms dedicated to science subjects on top of the lab. So that's not just the building, but the equipment, the chairs, the tables, all the stuff you need
Yeah.
in class. There'll be
Fantastic.
4 complete classrooms on top of that science lab.
And to be clear,
Yeah,
it's not the row, it's the very generous and kind people that have sponsored what I'm doing.
absolutely.
I'm just sat there sweating. It's these people who have very kindly
I don't think
sponsored and
you
give
can
us
say
the
you're
money.
just. I think it's quite a challenge that you've set yourself.
Oh, it is, but nonetheless, it's all the people who've generously given the money towards it.
Absolutely.
But so no, it's
Absolutely.
really
No,
exciting. So, and when would you look to start on that particular project and start building? Do you think? When would
but
you like?
once we've raised money for it.
Yeah. And
So
how
we
much do
raised,
you need? Do you have a set amount that you're looking to achieve?
yeah. So we need £89,000.
Hmm.
And with your row, I think we're up to about £24,000. So we're getting there. It's
Fantastic.
slowly, slowly. Yeah. But
Yeah.
we do fundraising through things like this, your challenge, and
Mhm.
general donations. And we have a craft group that make bags and accessories that I can tell you more about later,
Yeah.
also to raise funds. But we also apply to charitable trusts and foundations who their mission is to support small organizations like ours to, build buildings or
Mm.
improve education, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to sort of add on really and talk about with regards to what the Lilomi have achieved so far and what you're looking to achieve in the future? Any future aspirations beyond the building of the classrooms? What's beyond
So
that? What would you like to Lilomi to be doing?
yeah. So, I mean, alongside that, that's not so our mission exactly is to improve the lives of children and families in Sierra Leone through
Mhm.
education and community support. And the way Lilomi does that is by supporting JCC.
Yeah.
So, in the future, it's not just the 4 classrooms on top of the science lab that we're building. We're actually building another 18 classrooms. So we want to complete these 4 classrooms and then go on to build new classrooms so that all the kids have got the correct size classrooms for the amount of children in them. They've got
Yeah.
space to learn. So the school building project will be over several years, and that will be next. But alongside that, we do other things like trying to improve. Lilomi funds an annual trip to a place called the Gola Forest Reserve. It's hugely popular internationally with bird watchers because it's a really rich environment and really the last bit of true rainforest that's left in Sierra Leone.
Wow.
And we send class 6, which would be year 6 here, to the Gola Forest once a year for them to learn about conservation and the importance of, reforesting and
Mhm.
keeping this environment, that sort of, keeping that forest environment alive rather than just chopping it down. So
Mhm.
the hope is that in the future, kids value that rather than just, right now, people just cut down trees sort of, just to clear stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
But, the importance of keeping that conservation going. So we do
Mhm.
that. We also funded a science teacher's salary for a year, which is now the school can now sustain through its own, fees. It is a fee charging school, but the fees are kept very low. We have the lowest sort of private school fees in our region. So it means that parents can afford to send their kids there and for them to get a really good quality education. But it also means that it's sustainable. You know,
Yeah.
the idea of having a free school is great, but you're always dependent on people to fund it. And what a massive part of what Lilomi is about sustainability and about making JCC so it can sustain itself, and we don't
Mm.
need to depend on, we're building something that's going to last for 50, 100. There are schools in the UK that are hundreds of years old. That's what we want to build, like an
Yeah.
establishment that's going to grow itself, and that kids can get a really good foundation for their education.
Mhm.
So the hope is in the future they become the doctors, the lawyers, all those and all the creative people that Sierra Leone needs to build its future
Amazing.
properly. Yeah.
And I know, I think we touched on it before we started recording, but how many children are at the school at the moment at JCC?
So we've got about just under 500 kids at the
Yeah.
school now, from kindergarten through to what would be year 12.
Hmm.
And we've got 9 children that live, they're residential kids that live on campus.
Yeah.
And then we support about another 50 children and families in the community, which is a huge part of what JCC does as well. We decided quite quickly that we wanted to move away from this orphanage model, because it does have its place. There are kids, like we've got 9 kids that genuinely don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah.
But really, I think it's internationally recognized now that kids need to be in a family, and they need to live in the community and
Hmm.
know how to operate within their own society. So we support kids in the community now, rather than bringing them into an institution and them becoming institutionalized.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
It's great.
we do a lot of family support. We provide some financial assistance,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's more about building relationships with the children and the families that they're put with, and parenting support, and they have social workers. So that's also, yeah, a huge part. We're not trying to
And
create dependency.
yeah, okay. And in terms of the social workers then and assistance in that front and the sort of any sort of counselling that might be needed, is that readily available? Or do they come from Freetown? Are they in Bow? Or how do you have access to
No,
those sorts of
so we do
professions?
have social workers in Bow. So
Yeah.
we employ people from the local community, and that's another huge part of what the Lomi does. We don't import building goods. We buy all of our stuff locally. All the stuff for the kids we buy locally, just so that we're contributing to the local economy rather
Yeah.
than bringing stuff in, which I understand why organizations do it, but for us it's really important that we're part of Bow, that we're
Mm.
not just, we haven't come and planted ourselves there. So yeah, all of our people are employed from the local community. All the goods and services we use, as best as we can, we get from the local community.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right then, Bethany. I'd love it. I'm hoping that next week when I'm sat in this very solid rowing seat, that this will carry me through, and I'm pretty sure it will. The thought of the good that you're doing out there is incredible, and I think anyone that knows you and comes into contact with you knows how special you are and how incredible a job you and Winston are doing out there. Um, so you're at the moment you're here in the UK, aren't you? Sort of
Yeah.
over here for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll be helping me next week doing some support.
Yeah, I'll be there
Part of the support
cheering you
crew,
on.
throwing water in my face, whipping me. No, that should be
Get
really
on with it.
good. And you're looking to go back, I think, when do you go back to Sierra Leone?
Well, probably end of July.
End of July, yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the kids. And I'm sure they're missing you too.
Yeah, it's been very difficult being away from them
Yes,
all.
it must
It
be.
very much is a huge family, and
Yeah.
our kids, Thea, Kenneth, and Polly, they've got loads of brothers and
Yeah, of
sisters.
course. I remember when you first moved out there, it was the size of the families, and I remember you saying they're all just one big family, and I love it. It's really
Yeah,
nice. It must be very homely amongst the whole crew there.
it is. It's challenging at times, but it's an amazing place to live, and we love it. It's
Yeah, I bet you
hugely
do.
rewarding and challenging, and yeah, it's helped us to grow. We love it, but we love the kids. They
Yeah,
are you know, part of our family. And yeah, that's what we do it all for, really.
Amazing. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure they all love it too, and they love the family side of it. All right,
Yeah.
Bethany Wilson, I'm going to put all the contact details for you, Lilomi, and any
And the
sponsorship
row.
details for the row, yeah,
Yeah.
within the description on this recording here. So thank you very much, sis. Love you
Thank
loads, and
you.
I look forward to
Love you
seeing you
so
next
much.
week.
Yeah, you will. I'll be there cheering you on. All
Absolutely.
right.
All
Thanks,
right
Mark.
then, take care. Bye bye.
Wonderful. Bye.